Did you speak the words?
Yeah, basically.
When the army spoke the words, the army of the dead awoke.
Once I possess the Necronomicon, I shall rule. I will offer up anything to keep possessing that Necronomicon. Now, bring me forth, bring what I come.
Hi, this is DJ Vengeance for Cutting Edge TV. This interview is going to give you an insight into some of the ideas and history behind the Medieval Dead, which is part 2 of the Evil Dead EP. The influence for the Medieval Dead EP comes from Evil Dead 3, called Armies of Darkness. There's a lot of samples used in the Medieval Dead track. The samples at the start between Ash and the Wise Man were there to explain why the Armies of Darkness have awoke. That leads on to Evil Ash commanding on the battlefield his Army of Darkness. It's quite a militant tune in terms of the samples, the way it's sort of ordering the army forward. It's almost like the crowd, for them to push forward, you know, and get into the track more. And a good example of that is that the tune actually drops, but it's not until the second drop, when the sample says forward, that the tune unleashes and goes up to the next level.
I may be bad, but I feel
quite a lot of influences in there, not only from drum and bass but also heavy metal. A couple of tracks that have influenced that tune, the 9 and also the Code. So I've tried to capture that sort of 98 style with the drums and a sort of minimalism, but also have that switch in it, drop it back in when it drops in with the cymbals. The track is only going to be available on the record sampler. The Banshee track has got some really raw samples in, taken from an earlier scene in the movie, when a Deadite tries to strike fear into Ash. The track is quite punk, but it's also got some funky elements in there as well.
You shall die! You shall never touch the Necronomicon! We shall feast upon your soul!
The Dead Night tune is basically a remix of a track that I made for my digital dubstep label. The original track is called Deadites Anthem, and for the Dead Night tune I gave it a drum and bass overhaul and upped the beats per minute on it, and it's turned out to be one of the heavier tracks on their Evil Dead EP.
Slay the beast to the Deadite!
The final track on the Medieval Dead EP is called Who's Laughing Now, and I made it to go with the previous EP, specifically two of the tracks called The Cellar and the other one called Possession. The Cellar track was an offbeat roller and the Possession track was a stomper. So what I've done with this one is made a straight step roller. It's sort of, the bass lines have a sort of an element of someone laughing in them. The Evil Dead Part 2, The Medieval Dead, is going to be released on digital downloads, available for all good MP3 stores. There's going to be a sampler with one track specifically made for the vinyl release and one track taken from the MP3 release. Nice one for locking on to the second instalment of the Evil Dead EP. I hope it's given you some insight into what I do. Big up to all the producers, keep on it, eventually we'll get some success. And I want to send a big shout out to all my fellow DJs who are pushing my sound.